what are the key, because I know you've walked me through it.
Yeah.
What are the key things that you need to do if somebody's like, I don't know if I have time for that, or why is it important? We covered why it's important, because people are going to search for you.
Yeah.
They're going to search off of Facebook or Instagram if you're trying to sell them something. Tell them the whole story. But then what do they need to know? Like if I'm looking to write a blog post, give me like some nuts and bolts tactics that I can use to write a good post that is both congruent with who I am and gets found by the search engines.
Yeah. So I really look at, and I'm going to use the word blogger, but anybody who's a content creator or an influencer, really our job is to connect the dots. So if I'm writing a piece of content, I need to connect enough dots so that Google knows what it's talking about. And that's called, search engine optimization or SEO. And then, I also need to connect the dots for my reader so that they know what the heck I'm talking about and why it's important to them or how it could change their lives and stuff. Because we don't just go out and write stuff for no reason. Like, we have a product or a service or something that we're selling, or, we have a mission, on Kids Activities blog. You think, well, you didn't have a product or a service till recently. Yeah, but I had a mission creating this community for that surrounds play and how the tradition of play and how play is important to even modern children. And so, there was that storyline that I was talking about. But like, if you are someone who's selling a service or selling a product, is one of the ways that a blog or a website, and I'm going to use those words interchangeably because I think in 2020, 2021, there is no difference. Like that's the same thing. Is that you're connecting the dots. So let's say you're selling widgets and you have a funnel. So you're putting in Facebook ads to send people to this widget funnel that starts here. Well, what I would say is a lot better and a lot cheaper for you to do is to create a layer of content above that funnel. So what are all the questions that people ask that can be answered by your widget? So, people ask this, or a certain type of person asks this. Well, that's where your blog post comes in. You're going to talk straight to that person, and you're going to be like, hey, like, I don't know if you realize this, but this is a problem. Here's some solutions. And oh, by the way, like, I have this here. And you're sending them into your funnel. But instead of making 17 funnels for 17 different groups or different, things, so what you're going to do is use that same funnel, but start the funnel on different content pieces. And we all have seen how expensive it is to acquire a customer through Facebook ads. Well, Facebook will send traffic to content for pennies compared to dollars and tens of dollars and hundreds of dollars for customer acquisition.
Tell me what that means, because this was like the game-changing moment for me, that like it was an aha. Tell me what you mean by that. How do you get people to your content for pennies?
So how Facebook and Pinterest and all these Google even, where they're like, oh, we want you to pay to play. You've heard that. Facebook pay to play, Facebook pay to play. A lot of times people think about that is, oh, on your Facebook page, you have to pay to play. No, basically what Facebook's saying is, if you're making money off of Facebook, we want to cut. So anything that's promotional, we want you to pay for. And so that's where Facebook ads come into. That's where, like, if you post something promotional on Facebook, how the reach just goes like this, and you're like, organic reach is dead. Yes, for promotional things on Facebook or any social network, promotional posts are dead. Organic traffic for promotions are dead. 10 years or 5 years ago, it wasn't like that, but today it is. So, they say organic reach 0. Well, yes, for promotional products, but I got 1 million page views on my blog last month from Facebook organically. So there's still ways to play in the content space, as long as it's not overtly promotional. So when you create a content piece that is helpful to people, number one, it's a way better way to stop someone's scroll when they're like, oh, I had that question the other day, or, oh, that sounds like me, or, oh, I have that problem, is so you're creating a piece of content that connects with somebody because they have that problem too. They're just like you. They have these issues as well. So they come in and they read that piece, and then they're like more connected to you because you pointed out something that they can solve, or maybe that you commiserated with them or something like that. Well, just now, do you see what happened on Facebook? You posted a content piece that all of a sudden, instead of everybody running away from Facebook in the opposite direction like a promotional piece would be, is all of a sudden, maybe even your friend like clicked on it, or like they left a comment, or they shared it. It's a shareable piece of content. It solves problems. It shows engagement. So now you go to Facebook, and like this is kind of like the tale of two posts. You have like the promotional salesy post that sends them straight to the funnel, and you have the content solution-based post that's a content piece. And so this, when you boost it, it already has some engagement. Facebook saw that people slowed the scroll, even if they didn't act on it. They like paused over it. It wasn't like a flick through like a promotional piece would be. And so it's already primed to be cheaper to boost. And so, and then like there's, they are going to go look at the URL of where these things live. This is one of the reasons why I beg people, do not put your website or blog on a e-commerce site or funnel platform, because the URL is going to tell the Google or Facebook that, oh yeah, this is content, but it's really not content. But if you send them to a blog, like a website that is self-hosted, or on a platform like Medium or some of these others, that's a content platform, it shows intent to inform. And so and if you just do this alone, you could do the same article on a ClickFunnels URL versus a WordPress URL. And even if it was exactly the same piece, I would say that you would get the page views for that WordPress pennies compared to dollars for the ClickFunnels. And it's just because, like, if you
just because of intent.
Just because of intent. And because if you were we have to look at the way these platforms are created. If you were an algorithm and you were trying to get rid of promotional things, what's one thing that's super easy for them to do? Oh, what's the URL? Oh, hey, that's a monetized site. Probably have a monetized, intention.
They can pay our ad costs.
Yeah. They're good for $10 a person.
So you're talking about building content. That was when I met you, you were just like, yeah, we just decided to do Facebook Lives for 3 hours a night and build content. But then when we were talking about content for a website, I'm really good on video. I can write, but it takes me a long time. And you were like, so just do video snippets and put some description of the video that you write, but it doesn't have to be crazy. You told me like 300 words maybe?
Yeah. Especially if you're going to put a piece of if you're embedding a video or something like that, you might even be embedding the transcript or adding the transcript to the video underneath. So that's a lot of words on that page. One of the things that I would do if you're not a writer, but you have some video content, is go ahead and embed that, maybe put the transcript below, but then just do a little chatty intro of why you're talking about this. And what's so cool about Google these days is once Google figures out that you're not just started something that you're going to leave and turn around and run away and abandon, like 95% of the people on the internet have done. So that's why it usually takes about 2 to 3 months to get settled into Google even caring about what you're doing at all, which is good because that gives you time to get some content library around your subjects. Is that it's really getting a lot better at figuring out like real world stuff versus keywords. The big buzzwords for SEO for all these years is primary keyword and secondary keyword and in the olden days, they would keyword stuff because whoever used the keyword the most times in any given, post would win.
I go back and
Thankfully.
look at those posts where it's like I'm trying to think of something I searched the other day that it was just obnoxious.
Right.
Like they just crammed it in. So you're saying that you don't have to do that
You
anymore.
don't, which is great for those of us who are creating like normal content for normal humans, because that piece of content with keyword stuffing, that doesn't help your reader. Like, and
Right.
Google's like good about that. So what's Google is really good at doing right now is looking for context. So if you're talking, and I think we did this with you the other day with like social selling, what are words around social selling? Like what are phrases, what are common things that are associated with selling, social? Well, it's easy to, when we're just talking about it, oh yeah, well, social, well, that would be social media. Well, that'd be like platforms like Facebook and Pinterest and Twitter and all these Instagram and all these other things. And you can just think of like, and I think of it as almost like a word bank, is like, okay, for social and social media, what are all the things that kind of are related? One of these things was not like the other. What is that song? What are related? Now we're going to have that in our head for the rest of our lives. And then like when you put those concepts together, oh, internet marketing, all these other words come to mind, and you almost start thinking about like a thesaurus or a word bank or synonyms and related words and connections. And so when you can craft something on that page that, and doesn't use 100% of your word bank, because that would be weird, but it allows you to make sure you covered, oh, I'm talking about social selling, and I didn't even mention a social network or the word social network. All of a sudden you're like, oh, in order for Google to understand what I'm saying, I need to mention something like this. And so just thinking about kind of a broad approach to making sure that and by the way, when you start having like kind of this word bank situation where you're like, you're staring at that blank screen and you're like writing, and then all of a sudden you're like, yeah, I got nothing else. I got 3 sentences on the page, and I wanted to get 300 words. And then you're like, oh, wait a second. Duh. Like, let's talk about, how Facebook fits into this. Let's talk about how emails fits into this, because those words are things that you need in there, not only for Google, but to paint a better environment of learning for your reader as well.
Are you looking to scale your business but trying to figure out how to get your message across? Well, go to storyselling.how to grab my free course that will show you how to discover everything that you need to build your business through stories. These stories work whether it's in social media, email, or public speaking. There are 5 core stories that you'll learn. You'll be able to use all of them by the time you're done with this course. Again, that is storyselling.how. If you enjoyed today's episode, make sure to tune in next time.